Hello, this is Our Money, a program on anti-corruption investigations. My name is Bihus. There's a common belief that policemen are often just a little bit corrupt. And there's another belief that maintenance supervisors sometimes steal. But those are just myths. Just myths. But Lesia Ivanova found a Maserati and a new 5-story house that belonged to a police maintenance supervisor.
Леся Іванова знайшла Мазераті і 5-поверховий будинок, не хрущовку.
Motherinlaw village. A humble 360-square-meter house, the house of Ivan Naumov, head of National Police Property Management Department. Monday, 7:30 a.m. A gray Toyota approaches the gate. It's a police company car. Legally, it can be used only on duty. The car enters the yard, takes passengers, and leaves for Kyiv. In an hour, another dweller of this house will be taken by a gray Volkswagen. The license plate of this car is absent from the police database. This is likely an undercover car. They are also for on-duty use only. We have been regularly seeing the National Police's Toyota here for a couple of weeks. The only one in this house who has the right to use it is Naumov himself, but this car is used to give rides to everyone but him. Judging by the time, 7:30, maybe his children were taken to school. The company Toyota will later park by Naumov's department, but without the passengers. And the company driver's task is to hold a nice parking spot for Naumov, right by the entrance to his department. This morning secured a lot for this white Chrysler the head of police property management uses to commute to work. This car is absent from Naumov's declaration, but for 2 weeks we have been seeing him driving this Chrysler. 1, 2, 3. On the first day, we noticed the undeclared car driving through the city with an unregistered license plate. The Interior Ministry's database does not have this plate, so it's either fake or an undercover police license plate. What manager doesn't want to be James Bond? Just as Naumov arrived, right before our own eyes, right on the street, his assistant replaced the Chrysler's license plate with the officially registered one, but not in Naumov's name. The Chrysler's owner is Oleg Koshel. We've been following the head police property manager for a couple of weeks. It appears as if he is collecting cars and license plates. By the department stands his wife's new Touareg, this year's model. Official dealers sell it for around $56,000. And here, Naumov arrives on another Touareg, a company one. The license plate is not original, though. It is registered to a Mercedes SL class belonging to the same Oleg Koshel, who owns the white Chrysler, the first of Naumov's cars we have spotted. Who is this mysterious man who lends Naumov his cars and license plates? Hey there, good morning. I have a couple of questions for you. I'm late, goodbye. Whose car and license plate is this? I don't know, maybe it's a disguise. Who is Oleg Koshel? You drive his Chrysler. Your Touareg's license plate is from his Mercedes. I don't know, it's a company car. We couldn't find Koshel, and Naumov refused to give any answers. He replied to us with a letter saying he has no relatives by the name of Oleg Koshel. Strange, so generous and not related.
Ні, ну ми можемо припустити.
We can imagine that at night he's Bond, James Bond, and Tor, Yanni Tor during the day, and he forgets to change his license plate in this roller coaster of a life. Come on. So many fake license plates on so many cars is obscene, even for an Interior Ministry official. It's also illegal, but it's about the Interior Ministry, so figures. By the way, the ministry has answered. It says that Naumov had his car repaired, and the shop workers mistakenly installed a wrong license plate, but they gave him the original one, so he was able to change it back quickly. They didn't say anything about fake plates.
Коротше, найцікавіше, що є в цій відповіді.
The most interesting part about this answer is that the company car carries Naumov's relatives only when by a convenient coincidence it passes his village at 7:30 every day.
Щодня.
I have promised you a Maserati and a 5-story house. Let's go. An old Chrysler, a company Touareg, and even the personal new Touareg. This is not impressive. We can find something really impressive at the Kiev Car Bazaar. Well, tell me all. It's new, 13,000 kilometers of mileage. Why so? Didn't drive much? It's perfect, totally. Good. As if it wasn't used at all. Yes, I told you, it's new. This is a Maserati Levante, the only off-road car in the luxury brand's collection. No repairs, no nothing. It has protection, film, hood, handles. Change the oil once. The car is now on sale for $90,000. The formal owner of the car is Tatiana Zachinaeva, the 60-year-old mother-in-law of head police property manager Naumov. But the dark leather interior looks very masculine, and the dealers are confused. While the car is registered in the woman's name, the dealers say that he doesn't want to sell his favorite license plate. The website photos show the 4444 plate. Can I have it? No, you can't. You'll have to pay $800 to have this plate, if he agrees to change it, but he won't. But a $90,000 Maserati, and that's with a discount, isn't the most impressive property of the police manager's mother-in-law. The bypass channel of Kiev Reservoir Dam. 3 plots, almost 0.4 hectares. Naumov's in-law bought them this year. The market price for land by the water is around $100,000. Good place with nice neighbors. Most of them are law enforcers that have registered the property in their relatives' names. For example, the wife and daughter of a high-ranking Interior Ministry ex-official, son of a Supreme Special Court judge, another son of the ex-head of a tax service department in Kiev, and the wife of the head of operation control of Kiev's Fatoshin taxation area. It seems that being a simple mother-in-law isn't enough to get some land here. It's better to be a police official's mother-in-law. Zachinaeva's 0.4 hectares will soon have a new decent house, which probably costs as much as the Maserati. But we won't pause on that, because just across the road from the decent house, Naumov's in-law is building another house, and a really obscene one at that. .36 hectares more by the water. That's $90,000 more. And on the land stands the yet unfinished but already stunning 5-story mansion. It will have stained glass windows, a wide terrace, and a beautiful view of the Dnipro River. It would have been inappropriate to build anything smaller than that here. A year ago, our program found the land belonging to Head of Special Service Vasil Hrytsak and Yanukovych Time General Konstantin Sobko exactly here, in this elite settlement. Mansions of many other law enforcement officials can be found here. A judge of the Regional Court of Appeal, a Kyiv prosecutor, an ex-Party of Regions MP, an ex-head of Regional Tax Police, and deputy of then Interior Minister Yuri Lutsenko. Thus, in 2012, Naumov's mother-in-law starts building this 5-story monstrosity in the neighborhood of all those respectable people. We asked a Kyiv architect, Ivan Ponomarenko, to evaluate the unfinished mansion. He says this box already costs a lot of money. Finishing and maintenance of the building will cost just as much. The main factor of the price is its volume. Volumes instantly produce insane prices. One floor here is around 440 to 450 square meters. Let's multiply that by 3. And let's say that the basement and the mansard, substantially rounded down, will amount to half that space each, so add another 450 for both. This amounts to 1,800 square meters. This is equivalent to 10 to 15 ordinary houses. Let's multiply that by the minimum of $250 per square meter, I think. $450,000. Is this the minimum? I think it is. If you order this from an average construction company, even from a cheap one, even if you just hire construction workers, this would amount to about that much. This is the minimum price, but it can cost more as there is a lot of ferro cement. A ferro cement framework will last for ages. If you sum up the size of the framework, it's 1,000 square cubic meters at the least. The average price of ferro cement in Kyiv is around $200 per meter. There's no less than 1,000 cubic meters here, so it's already $200,000. Roof tiles aren't cheap either. It's neither bitumen, nor aduline, nor slate. It's going to be expensive. It's really hard to make such a window out of plastic. I think it would rather be of aluminum or some kind of wood. That's no less than several $1,000s per one. It's really expensive as it is, and I feel some kind of pity towards the person who wasted this much money on this. Because this house will be immensely expensive to maintain. It will cost an insane amount of money just to heat it. Naumov's mother-in-law also owns some land in Mykolaiv region. Again, it's 0.4 hectares near the water, but this time it's the Black Sea. She bought this land in 2013. The land here is cheaper than near the Dnipro River in Kyiv. A plot will cost around $50,000, but the construction plans aren't less epic. Only the foundation is in place yet, but it's not smaller than the one in Kyiv. A Maserati worth $90,000, land near Kyiv worth around $200,000, the decent house, the obscene house, ambitious construction on the Black Sea shore. There must be a reasonable explanation for how this happened to be in the possession of the police official's family. And we've searched for a long time. Officially, Naumov's mother-in-law is a businesswoman. Until recently, she had 5 companies, a trading company, an architecture one, and 3 communication firms. And that's the official part. But in reality, one of the companies has been in liquidation for 6 years. The second doesn't have an address, no phone, and is also undergoing liquidation. The third, I've heard they got registered here unofficially, but those are dummy companies, hasn't declared her taxes for 7 years in a row. The fourth was thrown out to a Zaporizhia industrial zone. They haven't been here in 5 years. The fifth was the only one we could locate, but we couldn't locate Zachinaeva there. She's the founder. That doesn't mean she sits in the office. Seems like this is the only real company from all those listed, but its declared profits are meager. That's no surprise then that Naumov's mother-in-law's official income for the last 5 years amounts to just $400. Naumov is loyal to his Interior Ministry job. At first he worked in Donetsk, in the mid-2000s moved to Kiev, and then to Vinnytsia for a couple of years, and back to Kiev after the revolution. He declared his salary as his sole income, $450 per month in 2012, $670 in 2015, and $1,400 per month last year. His wife is a mother of 3. According to his declaration, she has been unemployed for the last 3 years. Her single income entry was $18,500, a car sale. Naumov has ignored our official request for information, so we met him at his department. Could you tell me why your family owns property worth $1 million? Maserati, the land. What does my family have to do with it? I fill out the declaration according to the law. Everything that concerns my in-laws, I don't have to declare that. They don't live with me. Ask her where she got all those things herself. She didn't want to talk to us. I left her a number at her company. She didn't call back. Let the company's leadership contact her. I can't answer for her. But that's your family. So what? She's my in-law. She's your in-law. Where is the property from? I don't know anything. Maserati, land worth $250, a huge house being built. Ask her yourself. She works. She has some business. Ask her how she earned it. She'll gladly answer. We found those firms. They don't have any income. Ask her then. If she lived with me, I'd have gladly declared everything. But Naumov refused to give his in-laws contacts. I won't give it. If she wants to talk to you, she will. Do you promise to tell her? I promise. Good, thanks. Okay. A false promise, of course. Nobody has called. A shame. We really wanted to know the recipe for success. How to spend $1 million having zero income. Mr. Naumov didn't answer any of the important questions, like how a lifelong police official could have this much money. That's why we couldn't ask him the unimportant, but a really interesting question. He has a 5-story building. What do you think? Does it have an elevator or an escalator? Next, we have a report on the election to the Supreme Court. Just saying, because I'm fed up with writing intros about the importance of the rule of law, the Constitution, etc. Because when you at first say that upholding the law is the foundation of the state, then you show the people who uphold the law, you just get sad. Thus, a report on the elections to the Supreme Court. Marina Antsiforova. Prosecutors, whistleblowers, and outsiders of the Supreme Court competition. 18 candidates were running for the Supreme Court. The Judicial Council has approved only 8 of them. Today, the chosen introduced themselves to their colleagues at the Judicial Congress. Almost 300 delegates came to choose the new constitutional judge. A lot of familiar faces and empty declarations. The judge of Kiev Economical Court of Appeal, who doesn't officially own a car, arrived in a white Range Rover Evoque. The judge of Kiev Administration Court of Appeal came in a humble, undeclared Hyundai. He's infamous among journalists for his 700-square-meter house on the bank of the Dnipro River. These people will decide who will become a judge of the Constitutional Court. Until now, all they had was the CVs and cover letters of the candidates, and now they're going to meet each one in person, listen to their speeches, and make their choice. The delegates have to know the candidates, know their programs, and we will propose to approve an agenda where each candidate would have 3 minutes to make his speech. Get to know a judge in 5 minutes. The candidates had this much time to explain why they should be chosen for the Constitutional Court. Each one did it differently. I think that the Constitutional Court of Ukraine owes to the judiciary, and debts must be paid. A lot of motions for the Supreme Court were not considered. To draw the attention of the delegates for even 5 minutes is a daunting task. Do you remember his propositions? He gave a general outline of his propositions. I think he will succeed, if he will be chosen, in sharing his propositions with the public.
Якщо він буде обраний кандидатом, що йому вдасться якоюсь частиною ці пропозиції свої і донести до загалу.
He said something vague, and I'm sure he'll do it. A short review of the candidate made by the person responsible for choosing a new Constitutional Court judge, the institution which checks the laws for the legality. This job is understandable and interesting for me. I have written and defended a PhD thesis on constitutional law in 2013. Valentin Kryzhanovsky, a Supreme Special Court judge, tells that his invention, the constitutional complaint, was included in the new law, so he is not a freeloader. But while the judge clumsily tries to describe his advantages, the delegates start to show distinct signs of boredom. Valentin Kryzhanovsky told the reason he decided to apply for this position. Do you remember it? Of course I do. What did he tell in his speech? Well, I have to sort it all out in my head.
Ну, зараз треба їх поскладати по поличках, хто за ким виступав.
Journalists came to the rescue and helped the judge remember why the position is so important for Kryzhanovsky. Also, the judge admitted that he was going to vote for the candidate he is already familiar with, not for the one who gave the best speech. We are a people of our system. Aside from what they said there, we know their background. With some I am more familiar than with others because I don't personally know many of my regional colleagues.
Я, зокрема, особисто їх не знаю.
Aside from acquaintances, but the Congress gave a real chance to meet the previously unknown candidates. But not everyone took this chance, meaning they could make their choice without meeting all the candidates. Every person must live true to their conscience, and the Constitution of Ukraine is the conscience of our nation.
А Конституція України – це є совість нашої нації.
A judge of a Kyiv district court, Andriy Leonatovich, dedicated his entire speech to the restoration of trust toward the judiciary. That's the same judge who lacked one vote to become a Supreme Court judge, and now seeks to restore justice. Strengths, principled, honest, stress-resistant, has evident self-control. How could I not win? I don't understand. But the delegates are not impressed. Not everyone could even remember him after the speech. What innovations did he propose? Andriy Leonatovich, he's the head of Zaporizhzhia. No, head of Zaporizhzhia is Horodovenko. He went first. I can't tell you about Leonatovich. Sergei Chumak, a head of the Dnipro Administrative Court of Appeal, closed the candidates' speeches. His views on the independence of the court were the most radical. The judge made public claims that the government is trying to push its own candidate through. He didn't give the name. People from certain nearby offices need an honest judge in the Constitutional Court. I know how it goes. The honest judge will sit in his cabinet and do what he is told to do by the people in the offices. He will defend neither you nor the judiciary. It's strange, but as if in unison with this statement, the judges themselves started to promote Viktor Horodovenko, head of Zaporizhzhia court. Viktor is known abroad. Everyone knows him in Ukraine. They respect his expertise, wisdom.
кваліфікованість, мудрість.
After showering Horodovenko with compliments, the voting began. In less than an hour, they chose Viktor Horodovenko with 2/3 of the votes. He was the only one of the 6 candidates who hadn't tried for the Supreme Court. He's been the head of Zaporizhia Regional Court of Appeal for 12 years. During Yanukovych's times, along with Andrei Portnov, the ousted president's advisor, Horodovenko supported oppressive changes to the criminal code. Some aspects, including scientific ones, had to be analyzed, and having defended my PhD dissertation, that task fell to me. Don't look for a black cat where there is none. The judge also isn't bothered by the fact that he retained his position under 3 different presidents. He has an explanation. If judges change with the coming or going of a president, then there's a problem with independence. This means that the president chose loyal judges. In 2017, the president signed the law on the Constitutional Court. Aside from implementing the constitutional complaint, the president emphasized the importance of competition in choosing Supreme Court judges. Absolutely transparent competition for the candidates of the Constitutional Court. This is immensely important. Everyone must be able to see each candidate, and this principle will be used everywhere.
І цей принцип зараз буде застосовуватися скрізь.
We tried to approach everyone equally, applying the principles I have just mentioned: professional level, expertise in constitutional procedures and in constitutional law.
Фаховість, обізнаність в конституційних процедурах, конституційному праві.
Instead, the Judicial Council chose candidates behind closed doors and then did everything they could to make the delegates choose their favorites in advance. Key parts of the competition, like giving the speech, were made a formality. Looks like a competition, but it's not. That's all for today. Write us on social media, watch us on YouTube, and if you have something interesting, feel free to email us. See you in a week. Goodbye.
За тиждень. До зустрічі.